Let's go. On October 8th, 2012, the Texans go 5-0 for the first time ever with a 23-17 win against the Jets. That's some Texans history for today, but today we're also going to talk about the clutch Texans win against the Bills. Let's get it. Yeah, we back in here 23-20. I've talked about the win against the Bills, and I'm happy that we had that go-ahead field goal with the time running out from Kaimi Fairbairn to become our franchise leading scorer. I'm happy with it. I'm happy with what the Texans are doing and the trajectory that we're going on. Let's talk about how the Texans are going this season. Can they sustain that success? Some running game issues, or are we just comfortable with the running game? And then we'll continue talking about Texans' key injuries. And then we'll close it up with some stats and get on out of here. Because today is another day in Texans history. And I feel like this is going to be a great season. So let's work. So in this segment, we're going to talk about how can the Texans sustain the success that they are having in this early part of the season. The Texans have been kind of beaten, battered. They come back and win. These games aren't comfortable for the team. They're not comfortable for the fans, and definitely not comfortable for any type of spectator of football. But you can't be mad because that's the current climate of football. A lot of close games. So I'm okay as long as we're coming away with these gritty wins, relatively healthy. And we'll talk about health later on in this segment. But let's discuss the sustainment of success from the Texans. I kind of got chewed up on my words right there. Can they meet the expectations that they have of the team? Going into the season, we knew we had a three-headed monster at receiver, and I like what we have at receiver. We've seen all of the receivers produce. Tank Dell, when he's in the game, he is a huge threat, and we're trying to get the ball to him. Stephon Diggs producing. Nico Collins having an epic season producing. Unfortunately, he's injured. They are advertised, good as advertised. Joe Mixon, when healthy, produced. I'm okay with resting players. By the way, I'm okay with resting players, and we'll talk about this later. But can the Texans continue to sustain this success with these season wavering injuries that they have going on? Every team's going to have injuries, but can they sustain the success that they've been having so far in the season? As we go into the New England game, it's pivotal that the team is able to surround themselves around a team concept and the grit and tenacity. I say it in pretty much every video. The teams who have the grit, the teams who have the tenacity, and that can continue pushing forward always get further in the playoffs. And it looks like the Texans are building that infrastructure early, and they're able to go on to some success. They're able to win the games in the last minute when it counts. So, can the Texans sustain that success? Like, subscribe, share. Right now, you see scrolling across the screen some of the things that we were able to do. They had 425 yards, 7 of 65, 7 penalties, 65 yards, and time of possession was 33 minutes and 10 seconds. The Texans are doing well. They were doing well in this last game, and that was an improvement. 7 penalties sounds like a lot, but it's around the league average with a slight deviation. So I'm not mad at what's going on with the penalties. It's a far improvement from the 11 and 10 penalties that we had against the Vikings. That's just piss poor and terrible. So sustaining success. What is entailed in sustaining the success that the team can have? What can we do? The upcoming schedule with the Patriots is a tough game. I don't see too many people discussing this, but the Patriots, while they might have injuries, while they might have things going on, the Patriots are a tough opponent for the team. I'm just looking at a few things right now as we go down the schedule before we go to New England. We go to New England October 14th. We're going to New England. That's one thing. A lot of travel to the other side of the country. Then we go to Green Bay. Then we have a home game against Indy, who always has the ability to come and give us the toughest game of the season. I think these are three sleeper games that are going to be very tough for the Texans. The New England won't just be a layover game for the Texans. So they're going to have to work. Then they go back on the road against Green Bay, a tough team. Coming back to Houston, playing Indy, a tough team. I don't care about Anthony Richardson being out. They have that Joe over there. They have studs that can score at Indy. So we have three difficult games. Every game in the NFL is difficult, but these three upcoming games are difficult. So this Texans ceiling is high, but can they sustain that performance, that progressive performance towards that ceiling and be successful? What do you have to say for that? Tell me in the comments. I'm talking football. I'm talking this thing called the Texans. We're on the way and we're swarming to success. So tell me, like, subscribe, share, Sports Social TV on Twitter, Sports Social Live, YouTube. We are running to the next topic. And on the next topic, I've talked about it. A lot of people are talking about it, but I am concerned with the running game, but it just feels like we need to find our philosophy in the running game. If Dare is the number two, I'm cool with it. If we're going to put Hutch in the game and just run every time he gets in the game, I'm okay with it. I believe Bobby just needs to find his identity, and the offense needs to be confident in that identity that they have. It seems like they're melding, seems like it's coming, but we're just one step away. Maybe Dare, Cam Akers, JJ Taylor, they're just trying to find that step, that hole. You see, sometimes they hit the cutback, they hit the crease, and they get up and get that 5 to 7 yard gain. But a lot of times they're not planting that foot and exploding through a line as you might see from a Joe Mixon, or powering through. That patience that it's needed. Like, one of my favorite running backs to watch is Le'Veon Bell, when he would just patiently wait and then explode through the hole. That is what is needed from the Texans running game, and I believe it's missing. So what is the fix? What is the fix for that running game? I'm not opposed to Dare being a number two. He's put in the work, he's clutch, he kicks field goals. What more can you want? I'm not opposed to him being there, but he cannot have the first 5 touches of the game. I think that was totally asinine from Bobby Slowick. I don't know what happened. Was there an audible in the huddle, or was that the true play calling? Typically, the first 5 to 10 plays of the game are scripted. So it's crazy to see them try to force that ball to Dare. But if that's what the Texans want to do, they have to live in that identity and continue going with it. It just has to be something they kind of get confident in. And you see there's not a lot of confidence in that game plan. Again, tell me your thoughts on that. I want to know, because I don't mind Dare. I love the tenacity that he plays with. He does give you a pop. But is it Pierce? Is it Cam Akers? Pierce? Is it Cam? Is Pierce going to even come back? What are we going to do with Pierce? And I think that's going to be a topic of discussion. Does Pierce come back and automatically go to that number 2 spot, and he just gets it after Dare's been playing relatively decent? Or does Pierce go to a 3-ish spot and kind of works in the running back stable? That's going to be interesting to see. I'm okay with Pierce being at that 3 spot, rotating in if Mixon is unhealthy, but we should definitely watch that. Transitioning on, and speaking of Mixon, we have these key injuries, these lingering injuries for the Texans. A lot of news about Nico being out. I'll be honest with you. I don't have to see Nico on the field for a couple of weeks. I don't want to, as a matter of fact. I want that hamstring injury to be healed. He needs 2 weeks, 2 solid weeks at a minimum. So let Nico get healed so he can eat. Let Nico eat is what I want. So don't come to the table if you're not fully healthy, right? I can't say fully. Let's say 95, 90% plus. But with the soft tissue injury, we don't need that lingering when we were going into the playoff as we have. The playoff hopes are there. So I don't need Nico back in week 6 or 7. I need him back weeks 11, 12, 13, when we're definitely going to probably be battling for some type of position, whether it's in the AFC South or the AFC in general, trying to get one of those home games. We are going to be battling, and that's when you need your stud on the field. So I get skeptical when I see these Texans on Reddit, on Twitter, on Facebook. Why rush Nico against these two teams coming up? The Green Bay is going to be a tough game regardless, even if Nico's there. So rest them Patriots. Green Bay, think about it, but it should be a week to week. I think D'Amico mentioned this. It should be a week to week. I'm not trusting any reporter that's on Twitter anymore because no one knew what was going on with anybody. It was just all over the place. So I don't know who to trust, but I'm only going to wait until the Houston Texans put out a report and they come on the field because it was all over the place last week. And Nico was actually on the report. His hamstring has been hurting him. So that's something to watch out for. Moving on to Mixon. I'm okay with him continuing to get better as well. I don't want to rush Mixon back in the mix until we need it. He needs to just maintain a good stamina level, come back in when he's 90% plus. Do not rush him back. I don't want those studs back in the game so early. I need healthy guys in the stretch. And that's what generally is the Kansas City success. They keep a lot of their starters healthy. Throughout the season, they are able to rotate those guys. They keep a lot of health, except this season. But generally speaking, they are able to work with their team down the stretch. And that's what the Texans, we're in that area now. Hey, let's make sure we're getting healthy players. Christian Harris with the calf, not practicing this week. I don't know what's going on with that. It looks like, hey, he's just not ready. So why rush him back? Pierce, they're still working at. He's just missing opportunity right there. I don't know how bad it is. I don't know what's going on, but I think he's missing a definite opportunity to at least get a payday after the season. If he would have came back, played pretty well, he can get another payday. If it's not with the Texans, it's with another team. But now the best stability is availability, and he's kind of missing out on that. Howard, Blake Fisher stepped up, played decent. I'm not mad at how he played. That one strip fumble that was on his side. I mean, I believe Stroud can hold the ball a little bit closer. Fisher did a pretty good job, as good of a job as he can against that tough Bills defensive line. I'm not merely mad at Blake Fisher's play. He could do better, but he is young. So why we're going to be mad at this guy? Let him work a little bit. He's going to be a good piece on the line and definitely probably filling in or taking the position of one of these high-paid guys that we have that's getting a little bit older in the tooth. That's a definite from the team. Speaking of team, the team stats, and we got the picture on the screen just so you know how I'm feeling. I'm confident. I'm moving. I'm grooving. The Houston Texans are 4-1 in this Sports Social Live with Lance Hayes at Sports Social TV on Twitter. Let's take a quick look at some of our team stats. And I want to pull them up on the screen for you. Our team stats that we have right now. Man, I moved it. Let's go to the team stats and take a quick look. Man, the Texans are doing pretty well this season as far as stats are concerned. I had it up. So let's take a look at these team stats. One of the biggest things I want to put out there is that we are doing incredibly well in offensive plays time of possessions and yards per game. We're at 399.6 yards per game, and I love what I'm seeing. Another key point that I want to make known is that we're crushing teams at net passing yards. We have a 68.4% completion rate pass. That is great. That's great. Our fourth down efficiency, we're beating teams, and we're also doing well in other stats as far as let's go down to the time of possession. We're beating teams, so that means we're staying on the field longer than teams. And one of the stats that I wanted to show is that we are we are doing well to say that we have doubled our opposing teams in penalty yards, average penalty yards. That's crazy to say we're still 4-1 and we're doubling teams in average penalty yards. So that's something to watch out for in the team stats for the Texans. I'm going to take this off the screen, but I'm surprised at that stat, to be honest with you. I'm surprised at that stat. I don't like that we are doubling teams, but it seems like our discipline is improving, the confidence is improving, and the grit is improving from the team. The Texans are getting their swagger and they're swarming. I'm Lance Hayes. This is Sports Social Live at Sports Social TV on Twitter and Instagram. Salute.